Go home now and do your chores. You don't want a divorce, do you?
My husband Ethan suddenly appeared in front of me while I was back at my parents' house for a home birth. He said this without changing his expression, as if it were a decision. You know that the due date of the baby is coming soon, don't you? Of course it's impossible. You're the one who married into our family, aren't you? What I say is absolute. Perhaps offended by my words, my husband pulled out the divorce papers from his bag and held them out to me. I don't care if you divorce me, okay? His smiling face seemed to believe that he had the upper hand. But what he didn't realize was that I had made a decision. My husband Ethan and I met through work. I was attracted to his intellectual and gentle nature, and we got married 3 years ago. We started our newlywed life full of hope to build a happy family. However, my dreams were soon shattered. After our marriage, Ethan became cold to me, and at the same time, I began to see a side of him that had been hidden from me.
Taylor, quit your job and become a housewife.
What? You said we would work together until we had a child.
You can have children because you're working, right? A woman is supposed to take care of the home. So shut up and obey me.
Don't tell me, my mother-in-law said that?
I don't care about that. Just quit your job, okay?
My husband wanted to hide it, but behind his words and actions, there was always the shadow of his mother. It must have been my mother-in-law's instructions that I should become a full-time housewife. It was aggravating to back down so maturely, but I also wanted to have children as soon as possible, so I decided to quit my job. However, although I was told to protect the family, no matter how perfectly I did my chores, I still had too much time on my hands. So I decided to use my free time to draw manga, which had been a hobby of mine since I was a student. Ethan knew about this hobby, and when we were dating he told me that he liked my manga.
Hey, are you still drawing those stupid things?
Don't talk like that. You used to give me compliments.
About when are you talking? I'm going to tell you right now. You don't have that kind of talent.
Saying this, my husband took the manuscript from me and tore it to shreds. What are you doing?
You know what? You are a housewife. Take a lesson from my mom.
I had no energy to hold back Ethan from leaving the room, and I tried my best to hold back my tears as I gathered up the manuscripts of manga that were scattered on the floor. After we were married, I found out that my husband was an extreme motherfucker, but his mother also loved her son. I was hated by my mother-in-law as an enemy who had stolen her beloved son from her. Don't make my son dress so shabbily. You are too bad a cook. You would be better off feeding the dog. She would pick on me about everything. Then I found out I was pregnant. When I told her, not only Ethan but also my mother-in-law were overjoyed, and I had a faint hope that my relationship with my husband and mother-in-law would improve. But once we found out that our baby was a girl, their attitude changed completely.
Why a girl? You married the eldest son. You should know that you have to give birth to an heir.
You can't do anything about it.
Mom was disappointed, too. She said how useless a wife you can be.
You're talking about your mother again. That's enough. You're out of your mind to talk like that about the sex of the baby.
What? Are you trying to make fun of my mom? You're a parasite.
What?
You and your baby are parasites who want my money.
The abuse was so terrible that I was at a loss for words. Ethan glared at me with such a horrified look, and then went away. My mother-in-law had made me quit my job and called me a parasite. I was so frustrated and sad that I almost couldn't handle it. but I couldn't divorce him for the sake of my baby. I'm sure he's just a little upset right now because he couldn't have an heir. I forced myself to keep telling myself that, but to no avail. My husband's attitude continued to worsen, and my mother-in-law began to call me every day with sarcasm. I was in the midst of morning sickness, battling nausea day and night, and enduring the treatment I received from my husband and mother-in-law. I found myself in the 7th month of pregnancy, and I was in a state of mental and physical disarray. It was then that I received a call from my best friend Haley, who had always cared about me since we were students. I talked to her about my husband and mother-in-law, and she said she wanted to meet with me to see how I was doing and we would see each other in our home after a long time.
Oh, you're still drying manga.
Haley, who had spotted the manga I had hidden in a corner of the living room, said in a happy voice. No, I'm not drawing anymore. Ethan told me I had no talent, and told me not to draw such nonsense.
Your husband even interferes in such things. Can't you even do what you want? Taylor, are you okay?
He was kind to me before we got married. Will he change again after the baby is born?
Listening to you, I get the feeling that your husband was used to be more of a temporary figure. Maybe you should just get a divorce.
But I don't want to be a single parent. If I get divorced, I'll have to find a job, and I don't think I can do that right now. If I can just be patient, then...
Taylor, hey, are you okay?
How much time has passed? I found myself lying on a hospital bed.
Are you okay? You collapsed suddenly at home and were rushed to the ER.
What? Really?
You should take care of yourself first, even though your baby is important. If you, the mother, collapse, you will have no one to take care of you, will you? How much have you been putting up with it?
Seeing Haley's voice moisten, I let it all out. The daily abuse from my husband, the sarcasm from my mother-in-law, the morning sickness I had been suffering from, and the fact that I had been fighting alone for so long. As I spoke, the things I had been holding back poured out, and I could not stop crying and sobbing. Haley hugged me and gently patted my back. Thank you for listening to me. For the baby's sake, I have to be more strong.
No, Taylor, you'll break down if you don't do anything. I know. How about a home birth? Isn't Taylor's parents' home a nice, calm, natural place?
Yes, but... I wonder if my parents will be worried if I go back home so early. In fact, I have thought about running to my parents' house many times before. However, my father had been ill for many years, and my mother was taking care of him all by herself, so I kept quiet about it, not wanting to burden her unnecessarily. When Haley heard what had happened, she thought about it for a while, but then she slapped her knee vigorously and looked me straight in the eye and said,
Even so, I still think you should go home. Even I, your friend, am so worried about your collapse. It's not like this when it comes to your own parents, is it? It's too late for anything to happen, okay?
And she said, Don't worry, I'll always run to you. She smiled and helped me with various preparations for going back to my parents' house. The problem was how to persuade Ethan, but as luck would have it, he had just been told by his company that he would be away on an overseas business trip for 2 months, and I succeeded in getting myself to return home in the midst of it all. When I told my parents, who were wondering why I was returning home so early, about what had happened, they both tearfully consoled me, saying, Why didn't you talk to us about this earlier? I had been hesitant to return to my hometown for a long time, but it seems that I had overstepped my bounds. Both my father and mother were enjoying the time they had not spent together with their daughter for a long time. I was also able to relax, both physically and mentally, as I was free from my husband for the first time in a long time. It has been 2 weeks since I returned to my parents' home. As I spent time in this relaxing environment, a thought began to grow inside of me, and it continued to grow. There's no point in dwelling on it. I just have to move forward. I thought of Haley's sunny smile and decided to put that thought into action. Then, a month before the due date, I called Haley to tell her how I felt. Hello, Haley? You know, last month I submitted an entry for a manga magazine's Newcomer Award.
Really?
I have been at my parents' house and I couldn't wait to draw a manga, so I finished it in a week.
That's amazing. I'm glad that you're being so positive.
No, it's all thanks to Haley. As you recommended home birth, I'm here because you helped me realize what I really wanted to do. Haley was pleased with my change as if it were her own, and I was also filled with gratitude toward her. However, a week after that phone call, my husband returned from an overseas business trip and suddenly stormed into my parents' house. Ethan, why are you here?
What? Husbands aren't allowed to come to their wives' parents' house.
His high-handed attitude almost dragged me back into hell.
How long are you going to stay here? Get your ass back home and do your chores.
Don't be absurd. There is less than a month left until the birth. There is no way I can go home now.
You're the one who married into our family, aren't you? What I say is absolute.
That's outrageous.
I've been so busy with my business trip that you decided to go back to your hometown. You should be thankful that I let you stay here until now. Come on, get ready.
No, I'm not leaving. Ethan glared at me as I continued to resist, and with a rough hand, he pulled out the divorce papers from his bag and held them out to me.
I don't care if you divorce me, but that's not good for you, is it? You don't have enough money to live with the kids, do you? You're a parasite on my money, aren't you?
Ethan fluttered the divorce papers and smiled triumphantly. But at that time, my mind was already made up. Fine. Okay, I'm divorcing you.
What?
I'm not worried about money even if we get divorced. I've got my savings from long ago.
That's not a lot of money. Admit it. You can't live without me, you parasite.
How much more do you have to make fun of me? I can live without you.
What? How? Don't be so tough on me.
I've decided to make a living from manga.
Hey, what are you talking about? Just like a dream. Who's going to read something that looks like a child's scribble?
The manga I drew won the grand prize at a newcomers award I entered.
What?
You had made fun of me a lot, saying I had no talent. In fact, the day before this day, I received a call from a manga publisher informing me that my work had won the grand prize and would also be serialized in their magazine. Ethan widely opened his eyes and looked astonished. I guess he had never thought that I, whom he had so often belittled as incompetent, would win an award.
What? You can't be serious.
The reason I didn't divorce you after all that was said was not for financial ones. It was because I thought the child needed a father. I was hoping that you would change after the baby was born. Ethan flinches, overwhelmed by my unprecedented spirit. I glared at him sharply and continued. But today I understand. You are a motherfucker who only hits hard at people he considers weaker than himself. You will never be a good father. I will divorce you as you wish. I took the divorce papers from the stunned Ethan and filled in my name. I'll take this to the authorities. See you later.
Oh, no, no, no. Wait a minute. Are you serious? How can I get a divorce? Please reconsider.
Oh, your favorite mom is going to scold you for divorcing me because it's not good for the world?
No, it's,
I don't give a damn about that. Ethan was still yelling something, but I ignored him and slammed the front door behind me. After that, Ethan's attitude changed drastically, and he contacted me one after another to apologize, but I ignored all of them. Thus, the divorce was successfully finalized. However, my ex-husband stormed into my parents' house with impunity, even though he promised not to show himself in front of me at any time in the future in exchange for not receiving alimony. He pressed me to get back together with him and made such a big row and commotion in front of the entrance that my parents called the police. There he punched a police officer who rushed to the scene and was caught red-handed for obstruction of justice. Because of this, my ex-husband was fired from his job, and word of his firing spread quickly around his parents' house. My mother-in-law, who had become completely isolated from her neighbors, could not stand the cold stares from everyone, and moved out as if to escape. As for me, I gave birth to a daughter without incident. With the support of my parents, who say that their grandchild is adorable, and my best friend Haley, I am living a busy but happy life, raising my child and working on my manga series.